Hello friends, welcome to All-in-One YouTube channel. So we'll be continuing the MSD 19 class. So in this session, we will be starting our discussion on the Sustainable Development Goal 2, that is Zero Hunger. Okay, so I hope you all had watched our previous classes on the Sustainable Development Goal 1. Okay, so now we'll be discussing about Sustainable Development Goal 2, Zero Hunger. So let's analyze the PYQ. So SDG goal 2. So these are the PYQs from the last years. So explain any two targets with these indicators of SDG 2. Targets and indicators were asked. Then another question was about to define the term hunger and what are its major causes and consequences. Then the another aspect was to identify the major pillars of food security. So we'll be addressing the answers to all these sessions in the coming classes as well as in today's class. Okay, so also by identifying from the questions on other SDG goals, we had also identified dimensions like challenges, India's achievement. Okay, so such dimensions should also be covered by us. Okay, we should be attending the exam with those answers in our hands. Okay, so we will be discussing the targets and indicators, the challenges, and the concerns in achieving the targets and indicators of SDG goals. Then comes the India's achievement. Okay, so that parts will be addressed in the this session as well as in the coming session. So let's start our discussion. Sustainable Development Goal 2, that is to end hunger. Okay, wait a second. To end hunger, to end hunger, achieve food security, and improve nutrition. Okay, so what are the goals about? To end hunger, achieve food security, and improve nutrition. Not only achieving food security, but also improving nutrition and promote sustainable agriculture. So this goal has several parts like to end hunger by achieving food security. Not only food security, we should be able to improve the nutrition level and we should be able to promote sustainable agriculture. It has a lot of targets. The single goal has a lot of things to do, right? Okay, so this goal represents the global commitment to ensuring that every person has access to adequate, safe, and nutritious food by 2030. So 2030, we know 2030 is a target a year for the SDG goals. So we through the SDG goal 2 is trying to make sure that we got adequate, safe, and nutritious food by 2030. Okay. So hunger. So we here comes the definition for hunger. We can write it here. Hunger today is not merely a shortage of food. Okay, we know there's a in SDG 1 goal when we were studying about poverty, we know there's a multidimensional aspect, right? A multidimensional aspect to poverty. So in such a way, even hunger has a multidimensional role to play. So hunger is not just a shortage of food. It is deeply intertwined with poverty, inequality, climate change, gender disparities, structural failures in agricultural system. Okay, so what is hunger? Hunger, we can just say like hunger is lack of food, but the reality is not that. Hunger is not just lack of food, it is correlated or intertwined with other factors like inequality. Like, for example, we have food, the nation have food, but it is not allocating that resources of food to certain caste or class. Inequality is playing a role in hunger. Okay, then comes climate change. So climate change is affecting the agriculture and the productivity of our agriculture. So it will reduce the available food. Okay, and it might lead to hunger. Then come gender disparities. Okay, so in some houses, the woman will eat only after all the house members have eat. So they will be eating only what's left behind. Sometimes there will be nothing left behind. So hunger has a gender connotation as well. Then also comes with the structural failures in agricultural system. So we know our agricultural system, it is not that productive as compared with the global practices or the best agricultural nations in the world. Okay, so the yield per hectare. So if we take 1 hectare, the yield we get from that hectare is far more less than that an American farmer will get. Okay, so our productivity is very low. Okay, so such structural failures in our agriculture system also contribute to the food security and in turn also contribute to hunger. So while writing the definition for hunger, we can write this, and it is very strong definition as it has a multi-dimensional approach. Okay, it is not just saying that hunger is just lack of food. Okay, so SDG2 links nutrition, food availability, agricultural sustainability, and resilience, making it central to global development and social justice. Okay, so SDG2 is linking nutrition. Okay, as the goal says, end hunger, achieve food security, improve nutrition, promote sustainable agriculture. So it is actually linking nutrition, food security, that means food availability, agricultural sustainability, resilience. Okay, climate resilience. The resilience here means climate resilience. We need to make sure that our agriculture, okay, our farms are continuing producing the food we want despite facing those climate changes and environmental shocks. Okay, so here comes the definition for food security. The food security means that all people at all times have access to sufficient, safe, and nutritious food to maintain a healthy and active life. Okay, that means all people, like everybody, at all times, whatever be the season, whatever be the year, whatever be the situation, they should have access to sufficient, whatever you need to stay alive, that much quantity. Safe, the food should be safe, not poisonous, and nutritious food to maintain a healthy and active life. Have you ever seen this definition? Actually, I have taken it from our NCERT book. Okay, so you might have earlier learned this definition. Okay, so it means food security means that all people at all times have access to sufficient, safe, and nutritious food. So the aspect of food security has 3 dimensions, which include availability of food. Food should be available to all. It should be accessible to all, as well as affordable to all. So the 3 dimensions of food security can be traced as availability, accessibility, and affordability. So the food should be available in the market, right? That comes the availability. And the accessibility means if you are staying in Delhi and the food is only available in Mumbai, you are not accessible to that food, right? There comes the accessibility part. Then comes affordability. Food is there in the market, but I have no money to buy it. Is it affordable? No. So these are the 3 aspects of food security. Now let's get into details about the SDG goal 2. Okay, it has 8 targets followed by 14 indicators. How many targets and indicators were there in the first SDG goal? Please do comment it in the comment section. And for getting the this PDF of this answer, you can join our Telegram channel. The link for which will be provided in the description box. Okay, so and these answers will be in the format of a 20-marker question. Okay, sometimes 20-marker questions are asked, sometimes only 10-marker questions were asked. So we'll be preparing ourselves for the 20-mark ones. If the questions have been asked for 10 mark, we can reduce our points, reduce the size of our points. Okay. Yeah, so 8 targets and indicators are there in the 8 targets and 14 indicators are there in our SDG goal 2. So let's look at the SDG goal 2. So we have learned what's the SDG goal 2 is: to end hunger, achieve food security, improve nutrition, and promote sustainable agriculture. So I will show you something to easily remember the targets and targets. Okay, targets of the sustainable development goal 2. So SDG 2, it has 3 dimensions, right? They had 3 dimensions: to end poverty, okay, and improve food security, right? Let food security be the first aspect. There comes the nutrition aspect. Then at last, it's talk about sustainable agriculture. since our food comes from agriculture, the most of the targets are related to sustainable agriculture here. Only some are part of nutrition. Okay, but it is already interconnected with the sustainable agriculture part. So let's learn food security. So just using our common sense, we are going to identify the targets of SDG goal 2. Food security. Okay. So how can you say about food security and how can we link it with hunger? So we can end hunger. We can end hunger by providing safe and nutritious food. Okay. We can end hunger by safe and nutritious food. This is one target we can link with the food security part of the goal. Then nutrition. If it doesn't make sense to you, please wait. When we read the note for the targets and indicators, you will understand. Okay. Then comes the nutrition part. What can you identify? What target can you identify from the nutrition part? From the nutrition part, we can say malnourishment is the major problem we are facing. So we can say to end all form of malnourishment. End all form of malnourishment. Okay, that is one target under the Sustainable Development Goal 2. Then comes the agriculture part. Here are many goals related to agriculture. So yeah. So it's about sustainable agriculture, right? So what will be the first point? We need to focus on sustainable food production. Okay, we can just guess it, right? Sustainable agriculture. Then the target can be about sustainable food production. Then the another goal is we know that what agriculture is facing is the lack of productivity. Okay, the productivity of the land is low, and as a result, the farmers are earning a very low income. So we can say to increase agriculture productivity and income of farmer. It is another goal, income of farmer. Then comes the third thing. Okay, so we have a lot of crops here, but we are importing many crops from outside which have certain qualities. So what happens then? Our crops, our indigenous crops, which were only seen in our nation, will get lost. But we need to preserve those genetic diversity, not only the crops, but also that of animals. So the maintaining genetic diversity is the another target. Okay, I am just giving you a logical link to remember these targets to maintain genetic diversity. Then comes the last goal. The farmers produce it. Okay, and they want to sell it. But suppose a tomato farmer produces a lot of tons of tomato because the prices on the market were so high, so he decided to farm tomato. And when during the harvest period, what happened was the price of the tomato fell down. Okay, we have seen instances of farmers just burying their produce in soil, in sand, in their farms, because even the transportation cost to the market might put them into heavy burdens. That price of tomato will be so low, like 2 rupees per kilo. Okay, so such instability of the market is a huge risk. So we can address that through SDG goal 2. So the SDG goal 2 talks about the market and trade stability. Okay, so there are three dimensions about ending hunger, that is the SDG goal 2. It by ensuring enough food, that is food security. Not only enough food, but also nutrition. Okay, and we can done all these through sustainable agriculture. Okay, so food security part we can say about to end hunger and provide safe and nutritious food. The nutrition part we can say about ending all form of malnourishment. Then in the sustainable agriculture part, what we can talk about is the sustainable food production, agricultural productivity and income to maintain genetic diversity as well as to improve the market and trade stability. Okay, let's move on to discuss in detail the targets and indicators. So first target. Okay, to end hunger and ensure access to safe and nutritious food. To end hunger and ensure access to safe and nutritious food. Okay, so how can we make sure that this target is achieved? Using indicators, and the indicators used in this case is the prevalence of undernourishment, which can be measured through calorie consumption method. We have many methods, right? For rural area, the calorie consumption should be this. For urban area, there is a definite quantity of calorie consumption. So using that model for each country had their own model, and the world unions have said about a universal picture. We can use that to calculate this. So based on calorie consumption, we can actually understand about the prevalence of undernourishment. Then prevalence of moderate or severe food insecurity based on the food insecurity experience scale. Okay, we can use this scale, some scale for measurement. Okay, using this scale, we can able to measure the severe food insecurity. So these indicators monitor hunger levels, household food insecurity, and adequacy of calorie intake. Okay, they are influenced by income, gender norms, conflict, climate shock, and local food system. Okay, so we are trying to end hunger, and we are trying to measure the measure using the indicators like calorie consumption method, like to check the prevalence of undernourishment. Then we can check the prevalence of moderate or severe food insecurity using the FIES. Okay, you need to sort of by heart at least 4 targets and its indicators. I hope you get a connection here. Like you need to end hunger and ensure safe and nutritious food. How can you measure this? We can measure this by actually checking whether they are consuming it. So we will be using calorie consumption method. Okay. Then the second target comes to end all forms of malnourishment by 2030. All forms of malnourishment. Okay. So we need to end. Think. Don't look at what written here. Just think. So the target 2.2 is to end malnourishment by 2030. So how we can see whether malnourishment had end? So we will be seeing what are the issues caused by malnourishment. We can see stunting and wasting in children, anemia in women. Okay, such issues we face due to malnourishment. If in 2030 or if in passing years, if we can see a reduction in those patients, we can obviously come into a conclusion that nutrition level of the population is increasing. Otherwise, the malnourishment diseases due to malnourishment would be increased. But if we are seeing a decreasing trend, that means that what our nutrition level are improving. Okay. So stunting and wasting among children under 5, child overweight, anemia in women of reproductive age, low birth weight. Yeah. Okay. And prevalence of malnourishment under children of 5. Okay. So we can also link SDG goal 2 and this target with SDG 3 health, which deals with global well-being. Okay, global health and well-being. And SDG 6, which deals with water and sanitation. Okay, so try to learn this in interlinkages. Okay, while learning any such goals, any SDG goals, we should be able to interlink it with other goals. Then here comes the target 2.3. Now we are moving entirely to the agricultural parts. Okay, now the targets will be all trying to deal with agriculture. To double agriculture productivity and income of small scale producers. Producers here, it's all about the farmers who are producing farmers. To double agriculture productivity and income of small scale farmers. Okay, how can we measure this? We can measure this through the volume of production per labor unit. So per labor, what quantity of food is produced? We can use that data as an indicator to check the progress of this goal. Then average income of small scale food producers. So there are 1,000 small scale food producers in the nation. We are taking the average of their income. Then we will get a certain quantity, certain number. So based on that measure, we can say if we have been achieving this goal, like are we increasing the income of small farmers, or are we producing more? Sorry, let me drink some water. Make sure you all are hydrated well as well. So small farmers, we know most of the farmers in India are small farmers, but they face the most number of issues. The most farmer suicides had been seen in the small scale of farmers. Okay, so they have very limited land, very limited resources and all. Okay, there comes the fourth target: to ensure sustainable food production system. To ensure sustainable food production system. So proportion of agriculture area under productive and sustainable agriculture. So the target 2.4 try to ensure that there is sustainable food production system. That is, food is produced sustainably. Not much greenhouse gas emissions, not much pollutants are produced. Suppose in Punjab and all, Haryana and all, the stubble burning issue and the Delhi, its relation with correlation, its relation with the population in Delhi. Okay, but it is not a sustainable agriculture practice. Okay, so there is certain sustainable agriculture practice we can say. So the proportion of area under such productive and sustainable agriculture, we are measuring it through such if those areas are using, if not, instead of burning the stubble, they are using biodecomposers. We can say they are following sustainable agricultural practices. So such land will be included in, will be considered as a area under productive and sustainable agriculture. So measuring such land, we can say we are achieving this target. Okay. So it says about soil health, water conservation, climate smart farming, biodiversity protection, resilience against drought and floods. Suppose in Punjab also, if you guys are from Punjab, you know about the depleting groundwater resources due to agriculture in Punjab. So it is not a sustainable practice. But what if the farmers already have a water harvesting system at their farms and they are reusing that water? Then that is a sustainable agriculture farm. Okay, so that farm will be included in this target. Okay, then comes the fifth target: to maintain genetic diversity. Okay, to maintain genetic diversity of seeds, plants, and livestock. So the indicators used here are number of plants and animal genetic resources secured in conservation facilities. Okay, so how many plants we are trying to preserve the uh, genetic diversity. Okay, so such seeds will be like, we know, some cryogenic systems or refrigerating system, cooling system. When we are placing things in seeds and plants in there, it will not die. I mean, we can germinate it whenever we want by taking it out from the facility. So such conservation facilities store seeds of plants as well as the sperms or eggs of livestock. Okay, so that they can reproduce it whenever they want. And the share of local breeds at risk of extinction. By measuring the share of local breeds, which is at the risk of extinction, we can also say about the improvements we are achieving in this target. So agrobiodiversity is so essential because it is responsible for resilience, climate adaptation, and future food security. Then comes the targets 2.A, 2.B, and 2.C, which we can say about the 6th, 7, and 8th targets. Total there were 8 targets, right? So it talks about the investment, trade, and market stability. We can actually deal it as a single target. There is no problem in dealing it as a single target. We are actually giving a holistic picture. So investment, trade, and market stability. So indicators here include, so how can we say that we are improving in investment, trade, and market stability? So agricultural investment in research, extension services, and rural infrastructure. So we should be investing in agricultural research and infrastructure so that we are making sure that you know about HIV seeds, right? HIV seeds which were introduced during the green revolution. Okay, that seed has high productivity. So, but the problem with that seed was it requires a lot of pesticides and fertilizers. But what if there is a seed? There is a seed which is highly productive and highly resistant to pest and pest, so that it requires a very minimal fertilizer and pesticides. Then we don't have to apply fertilizer or pesticides. Then such a plant will obviously increase the income, obviously increase the productivity. So where will we get that such a plant? We need to conduct research activities. So for that research activity, what we need infrastructure. So this point was all talking about that. Then there should be measures to correct the trade distortions. So some trade distortions are there, like the global players when they come into play and they provide certain sanctions on them, or even if the local players they are like uh, hoarding the food products so that they don't want the others to access it. Such incidents happen. Then comes the food price volatility, the high inflation. Okay, affecting the food price. Earlier I mentioned about the situation of the tomato farmer. Okay, such issues comes here. So let's look at the overall significance. Together, these targets provide a multidimensional framework linking food accessibility, nutrition, agricultural sustainability, and market equity. Okay, so SDG2 recognizes that hunger and malnutrition stem not only from shortages of food. So hunger and malnutrition is not only about shortage of food, but about structural inequalities, climate stresses, and the marginalization of small-scale producers. Okay, so this was all about the targets and indicators of Sustainable Development Goal 2. Make sure you learn this. I had told you a secret way to learn it as well. I hope it was helpful to all. So in the next class, we'll be leading the other dimensions of SDG goals, SDG2. So it will be the importance of the SDG2. Then we'll be discussing about the India's achievements and the challenges thereafter. Okay, so make sure you subscribe our channel. Do not miss out those contents. Okay, bye-bye. Take care. Have a great day.